So let's learn about the another element in HTML, which is called the heading element. And here we will be learning about 6 heading elements which HTML provides to us. So let's comment it out in VS Code. I can just select and then do Control and slash, and all of the text will be commented inside of the HTML. Okay, cool. Now if I just save it, as you can see, our page becomes blank, which is expected. Now, let's talk about headings. By the way, I just hit Control and slash to make the comment. Okay, so in HTML, we have 6 different heading elements. We have from H1, and as you can see, if I hit enter, so this will become a valid HTML syntax. VS Code is helping us. Let's just scroll up a little bit and see this is H1. Okay, now let's do once again H2. So this is H2. So what we will be doing right now, just write up the code, and then when we will save, then everything will be visible inside of the browser, and we will discuss that in detail. So H3 is, this is H3. Then let's do H4. So this is H4. Again, 2 more to go, H5. And this is H5. And then H6. So this is H6. And now if I hit save, Control S, so as you can see, we have 6 different headings. The first one is the H1, which is very big in font size, and also as you can see, all of the headings are bold as well inside of our browser. So as we can see here inside of the H1, it is the largest one, then H2, H3, H4, H5 and H6. So these are the 6 different headings which HTML provides us. Let's start with the H1. So this H1 is the main heading of our page, and it is recommended that a single page should have only one single H1 tag. Can you do not have multiple H1 tags? You can. But now the structure we wanted to provide to our browser, it is not following the rules which HTML provides us. But you can definitely have 2 different H1 tags. So if I just copy that, and then in the next line, I can just paste it out here as well. And as you can see, we do not have any errors as well, and we are having the H1 tag, another one. But it is recommended that only one H1 tag should be present inside of a web page. If you have multiple web pages, feel free to do as many as you want. Okay. Then we have the H2 tag to H3, then H4, H5 and H6. And as you can see, the font size is becoming smaller and smaller and smaller. But this should not be worrying you, because if you wanted to adjust the font size, you can do it by CSS, which we will definitely learn later. So you can adjust that. But what is the point of having this all different H1 to H6, these all heading tags? It is to tell the browser what is the level of the heading which we are in. Now this might be sounding confusing, so let's see. So let's just have it here. So let's do a basic thing here. We will build a basic structure. So I am doing one H1 tag and saying this is the main heading. Okay. and then I am doing one h2 tag and say like this is the subheading. Okay, so what we are telling to the browser is like, hey, this is the main heading of our web page, and then the h2 tag, this is the subheading. Now suppose you have multiple sections in your web page. Suppose you can have something like a section 1, section 2 and section 3, and all of those should have the same sort of headings. So what I can do a h3 and then do section 1, and after that I can do a p tag like lorem and hit enter. So as you can see, we have this section 1 here. Again, I can create another section which is to say h3 and then section 2, and then again inside of the p tag lorem. Okay, and let's do one other. I'm just copying that, the last one, and just pasting it out here, and 3. Okay, so now this is a very simple web page which we just built. So our web page has the first main heading, our web page has the subheading, and we have 3 different sections. For all of the 3 different sections, we have the 3 different headings, right? But what we are telling to the browser, like, hey, these 3 different headings which we have created for the sections have the same level of importance for our content which is being displayed to our screen. I hope that makes sense. So these 3 different section headings should be treated as the same level of importance. Okay, now if you have multiple things like, hey, inside of this paragraph or inside of this section, basically we might have some other heading as well, then we will use the h4 and so on and so forth. So you get the idea. Now one thing you should remember is that you should not be skipping the headings as well. So if I just do something like h2 to h3 here, and let's change it here as well, so h2 to h3, and I can save that, and now this subheading becomes a little bit smaller, which is nice, which is good, and which we can do, by the way, but it is not recommended. Now our content flow is now broken. Now the structure is broken, like we do not getting any error, but it should not be there. So if we want, like, hey, we should be having the main heading and we want to have the subheading and we want a smaller font size, we can just add it via CSS. We should not be having like, hey, we have the h1 and then we do not have any h2 and then we have the h3, like bunch of h3s. It is not a good practice. But can we not do that? Yes, we can do that, but it is not recommended. So yeah, this is basically the heading element here inside of the HTML. So to summarize that, we have the 6 heading elements inside of the HTML, h1 to h6, and each of the heading elements we can use, and we should be using one after another. So we should be having here h2, not h3. Okay, so let's do that, and here as well h2. And if we want to like change the font size, we have to change it via CSS. All of the heading tags for the section here, what we have created here, have the same importance level. The h1 is the most important, then h2, h3, h4, and so on and so forth. And if you want to create the heading inside of a section, you can just create it with the next heading which is available to you, which is in our case, if we want to create another heading inside of here, like if we want to create some subsections with the headings, then we should be going with the H4. Okay, and then so on and so forth. And we should not be skipping the heading tags as well. So if we have the H1 tag and then we are using the H3 tag, by skipping the H2 tag, it is not recommended. We should be having the H2 tag in that case. Okay, so this is the heading tags in HTML.